actually. So.
All right, give me 1 second, everyone, to hit I hit record, but to get it broadcasting. And looks like we are just about ready.
Okay.
One second. All right, so it's I got what, 7:30? 7:31, so we'll call this meeting to order and start tonight with prayer with the Our Father, and then go to the pledge. Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy will be done.
will be done
On earth as it is in
on earth
heaven.
as it is in heaven. Give us
Forgive us our
Forgive us our trespasses, with those who trespass against us.
And lead
Lead
us
us not
not
into
into
temptation,
temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Amen.
For thine is the
Amen.
kingdom, power, and the glory forever.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty,
and justice for
for
all.
All right. Roll call.
Cosgray,
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
Hamilton,
Present.
Hankinson,
Present.
Keller,
Present.
Bowler,
Moeller is absent. Was Moeller your last one you called there to call, Brian?
yeah,
All right, so I will let everybody know now. We'll talk about it a little more in my report, but this afternoon, Dwayne submitted his resignation from council. He is moving or has already moved outside of the village, so he is no longer eligible or will shortly not be eligible to serve. So this afternoon, he sent me a letter. In fact, I'll just read it to you. I will distribute a copy to everybody, but I did just get it dated September 28th. Dear Mayor Nicodemus and Baltimore Village Council members, it has been my pleasure to serve the residents of the Village of Baltimore for the past 14 years. However, due to the plans my family and I have made for our future, it is time for me to step down as council president and resign from Village Council effective today. We will be moving to just outside the village on or before October 30th, pending the sale of our home. I thank you all for your dedication to the village and its residents. I have taken much pride in the things we've accomplished and with the integrity in which we stuck with in doing so. Thank you very much. Sincerely, Kenneth D. Moeller. So, Dwayne leaves a giant hole. He's been around for a while. His knowledge in water distribution and service is going to be hard to replace because he understands it not just from the council side, but also from literally the man in the hole side of it. So I responded to him and told him that, I wish him the best, understand, and that quite frankly, thank you does not cover the true feelings and how much he will be missed. So that is why Dwayne is not here tonight. And then we'll talk a little bit about what that means here in my report coming up in a little bit, because we unfortunately will have some action items to make on that. But until then, we will move on with the approval of the minutes from September 14th council meeting.
Keller makes a motion, moves that we approve the minutes as printed and emailed out.
Foreman seconds.
All right, motion and second. Discussion on the minutes. Hearing none, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
All right, minutes will be approved as written and distributed. Next is approval of the agenda. There is a piece of legislation on there tonight. It's 2020-31. It is a finance-related item regarding the CARES funding. We discussed it at the last meeting, but I do need a sponsor for that.
I'll agree to it.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. So now do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended with Chuck as sponsor for that piece of legislation?
I'll move that we accept the agenda as amended with with me sponsored 2020-31.
I'll second
All right.
that, Mayor.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Let's see, Keller,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
All right, agenda will be approved. Moving on, visitors, the only email I had received for public comment or question for council was actually for safety. We discussed it in safety regarding parking on Oak Street. So I didn't have anything else for that. So we'll go on to my report. First thing, again, big loss without Dwayne, but I understand family plans change. What will happen now is we'll post on the website, and I'll put it out on Facebook that we'll need to accept letters of interest from residents interested in serving. The way the ORC reads, council has 30 days to make an appointment. If council doesn't make an appointment, then it falls on me to make an appointment. I think the last time we did this, when Tony moved outside the village, we posted it almost immediately, and we accepted letters of interest up through the day of our next council meeting. And then we reviewed them at that council meeting, because then that gave us an additional meeting to ponder everything or make a decision. Am I remembering that correctly, Terry and Jeff, on how we did that?
That's my recollection.
Okay. So in fact, yeah. So we'll get it posted to get out and start getting letters of interest to collect at the next meeting. But like I said, that way, the council, you won't necessarily have to make a decision at the next meeting, because that'll be within enough time to get one more meeting in there to review everything and invite people in if you wanted to talk to them at that meeting, or invite them to the call. So additionally, council will need to choose a new council president. In talking with Jeff earlier, you don't have to make that decision tonight. We can wait until the next meeting, because I'm sure everyone is in a little bit of shock with the resignation. Don't have to make that decision tonight. We can wait till the next meeting, or conceivably even the meeting after that, when a new person was appointed, so that that could potentially be their first vote as well. We also have, I didn't catch this, sorry. When we get to the ordinance on for third reading tonight, we'll need a motion to substitute the sponsor on that, because Dwayne was the sponsor on that. So, and again, I'm happy for him that he's getting to do what he wants to do with his family, and they're moving forward and stuff. But at the same time, it's a big hole that we have to fill. So I know I will miss him. So and, before I move on, anybody have anything on Dwayne's resignation?
Where'd he move to?
I think they were moving into he said just outside the village. So
I didn't even know he was looking for a place.
Yeah. So, yep. Anybody else? All right, I'll move on with my report then. Been kind of busy couple weeks for me. Went a couple weeks ago down to, we try to do it once every other month or so. There's a county mayor's meeting. Last one was held down in Amanda, where we got some updates on Project Fort and the opioid epidemic within Fairfield County. Some of the stuff that Adam H. Board is working on for prevention, as well as some new partners in the area, such as PALS, which is the Pickaway area resource for counseling, and they have some access to detox facilities, but they don't have one themselves, but they do have some inpatient stuff. So, but it was also nice to get to chat with some of the other area mayors. Health department update. I did meet as DAC chairman with the health director and Lancaster. We are a member of the health department because we don't have our own. We're part of the county. Our contributions are set in legislation as to how it will be provided. Lancaster, is a larger municipality, gets the choice to either have their own or join an existing one. So instead of having their own health department, they contract with the Fairfield County Health Department. For the last couple of years, I've kind of been railing. I think their contract was a little low. This year, our increases went up approximately 5%. So I went in that Lancaster needs an increase in their contract in 5%. The mayor there, Mayor Scheffler, wasn't sure their council would go for that. But at the same time, that's not really too much of my concern, to be frank, because if they don't want the 5% there, it's still a lot cheaper than them starting their own health department. So if all of us that are in it are eating a 5% increase, they can eat a 5% increase too. I did get to do a fun thing and do a video for third graders. So we'll throw that out there. I've got, 3 more things here. Tonight, when it gets to the chief's report, we haven't emailed anything out yet, and going forward, his reports are going to look a little different. For a while now, I haven't been easy with some of the information on the reports, because as some of the information about ongoing investigations are not public record, and we don't necessarily have a right to that information unless we are the victim. In particular, at the last meeting, there was some talk of a child sex crime, and I've got some legal experience on both sides, prosecution and the defense side. They're notoriously difficult to prove and get convictions on. They're even more difficult to work because of protections in place, especially the younger the child, the greater everyone tries to protect the child. Quite frankly, sometimes in those investigations, you get an age and a gender, and no name, no address, no parents identifying information, no nothing. And we do that to try to prevent the re-victimization. A young child that's gone through that is going to have years of counseling as it is. And then, of course, we don't want to, a lot of families don't want that information made public. And unfortunately, at the last meeting, there was a discussion about a pending investigation that involved a sex crime on a child. And during that discussion, there was a comment made that could lead to the identification of that child victim. We're a small community, and even though a lot of us may know what's going on, it's not our place to discuss that, and certainly not publicize it. It's my fault. I saw where the conversation was going, and I should have stopped it, and I did not. That's on me. But I can work to correct that and prevent it from happening again. So I want to ask Terry and Brian to note that the audio recording, should anybody request the audio recording as part of a public records request, that we need to redact those 5 to 10 seconds where the comment was made that could identify that child victim. And that's an appropriate redaction of a public records under the existing law. The same is going for the YouTube video that goes out that's posted of the meeting. Right now it's private until I can figure out how to redact that information. And if I can't, then the video will remain private, not available online. If anybody requests it, we'll have to figure out how to dub out those 5 or 10 seconds. Of course, the meeting minutes tonight don't identify the comment or the child victim or the comment that was made that could lead to their identification. So hopefully that helps protect that from the past. To protect that from going into the future, I've asked the chief, he sent a couple of reports tonight I was looking at that looked really nice. I think there's some more information that we can get on there. But going forward, our reports are going to be statistical based on calls for service and usage and manpower and breakdowns of crimes. But it's not going to generally provide specific details of cases that are being worked on. The exception is, if there's a big drug bust or an indicted case that may be media worthy, the chief could give us some information on that. But going forward, at no time is there going to be any comment on any crime that is being investigated and could be pending charges. So I've got the reports, Chief. I didn't know if you wanted those. We can send those out tonight. They're kind of a start of what we're working on. If not for the next meeting, maybe for the next safety meeting, we should be able to have those in a better spot for everybody so that we'll have updated reports like that.
Yeah, I agree, Mayor. I think that there's some more data. Some of the data is very easy for us to pull down. Some of it because we use an outside dispatching center, we have to get that through them. But once I set that up and they know when we need it, it should be just a matter of them emailing it to me a day or so ahead. So we should be able to pick that information up also.
Very good. Very good. And like I said, the ones we got, it's a good start. I'll shoot you over, get with you on the few other things I had ideas on to see if understanding our limitations with our information coming from the dispatching agency to see if we can get and include. So like I said, hopefully by the next safety meeting, we'll have an updated report format for everybody. So moving on, the bond levy, town hall meetings. I had one on Friday at noon. I did have a few people attend, and quite frankly, the questions and the dialogue were really good. It was actually a very, I thought, good, informative, and enjoyable town hall meeting. Everybody had good questions. They are seeking to understand how we got to where we're at and why we need to go this route. So it was just it was a good town hall, and I was very, very appreciative of those that were able to join on Friday at noon. My next one is set for Monday the 5th at 5:30. I am posting those. If I can't live stream them like this, I am posting them as soon as I can afterwards. That said, I've also posted to the website. I haven't put the video up yet on the website, but I did put on the website the property tax breakdown and some frequently asked questions. It's there if you look for it under the water department. I haven't put it on the front page yet with a link to it or on my Facebook yet because I had Terry and she had Tim reviewing some of the wording on the stuff. They had a couple of really good suggestions, so I modified that this afternoon. As soon as I get the thumbs up from them again, I'll put it on the front page of the village website and start advertising that out there. That said, I did get one question. I know Rick is out there talking with people about the levy. But one of the questions I got was have other council members in talking with persons received any questions about it or comments or feedback about it that could help us, help me on the town halls answer any questions. But I think the premise of the question was also trying to get out there is the public asking questions about it. That I couldn't answer because other than Rick there at the store, I hadn't heard from anybody yet. So I just ask right now, is anybody else, are you getting questions? Are you hearing comments, or is it, radio silence out there except for the different portions?
Mayor, this is Chuck. Yeah, my neighbor has talked to me about it, and also a few people out there at the VFW, because that's a good place where I meet a lot of them. So there's a few of them that are ask me questions.
Hey, Chuck, I guess that would be I didn't think of that. Would it be? I mean, we've got a month left, even though early voting starts in a couple of weeks. Are there enough questions out there that you and I could maybe coordinate a night at the VFW? And I know you're getting the questions, but I'd be happy to come out with you one night and do like a Q&A for the VFW members.
You mean one of our meetings?
Well, I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily know it's one of the meetings, because I don't want to, hijack one of your meetings. And there are a number of members that obviously don't live in the village. But I didn't know if it was. I didn't know if it was one of those things that on one evening when the post is open, and just say, hey, Chuck and Brad will be out here if you have questions, and Mike and Wade, they're members. We'll be out here to talk. Don't mean to put you on the spot right now. Just think about it. And if it's something you think might get 5, 10, 15, 20 people showing up, let me know, and we'll coordinate that.
Well, I will do, I'll get back with you. I do have emails about 500 members out there. I can shoot an email out that say that you belong to the village. We'll have a special meeting out here. Come out and join us. But I'll get back with you.
Let me know.
I also wondered, are we able to do any yard signs that say vote yes for issue whatever?
So, and that's what took so long to put stuff up on the website. We cannot spend any money on promoting the levy unless we form a committee for it. And even if we form a committee, we can still spend no village resources on it. And so that was the question about the website. Barb called down and confirmed for me that because the website already exists outside of promoting the levy, we were okay to put a little bit of information on there.
But somebody like Robert Paul could do it, right?
Yes. But again, because he had texted me about that, and I told him if he's going to spend money to promote a levy, he needs to check with the appropriate resources or attorneys, because there are very strict rules about promoting levies in elections, and even an individual may have to form a committee. So, and that's one of the difficult things that we have.
Yeah, a lot of people have talked to me about it, but to be honest, most of them are not residents of the village. So the actual residents have not had that many, a few, but not many. Most of them are property owners.
And that was one of the questions I got online, and that was that we addressed at the last town hall, was how does a commercial property owner or a landlord that owns property in the village but doesn't live here vote for or against the levy? And of course the answer is they can't, because they have to live in the village. So
but they can put yard signs in that shows their support. People know who owns what.
Exactly.
And so they can show their support even though they don't live here. And I think that's what some of them would like to do, because I think they feel like, it's going to increase property values. It's going to help the village. It's going to help the village grow and spread this out over a bigger base and it's almost inevitable at this point. So,
I talked to one landlord that has 3 renters, and that landlord asked all 3 renters to please vote for the levy.
right.
So,
Which I've had
yeah.
the same feedback.
so, yep. So, which is good. It tells me at least that the people are recognizing the need for it, and that while it's a difficult decision, it's for the best. So, like I said, my next one is on Monday night, and I'll let you guys know how many attend that. So, last thing is at the end of regular business tonight, we need a brief executive session for potential litigation. Again, after regular business, just counsel, the VA, myself, and Jeff. Chief and Barb can be excused, and Terry, you can do the notes on the resumption and adjournment, so we could even let Brian hop off a few minutes early. So, but Jeff assures me it should only take about 5 minutes.
That's correct.
All right, and that's all I have. I think that was my longest report in a while. So, if anyone has any questions for me, hearing no further, I will turn it over to Terry. You're on mute, Terry.
Yep,
There
I
you
know.
go.
I'm off. So I apologize for the late metrics. And as you know, last week I was in ICMA conference attending virtual. I have some really good stuff coming from that I'll be sharing with you at next council meeting. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about are the couple of the projects going on. The Westwood Waterline project, I was privileged on Friday to be able to turn on the water to flow through the pipes. I thought that was a great privilege the guys gave me. They worked very, very hard on that. If you remember, I set out a timeline on that, the timeline to pull water samples to send to Massey. And remember, we have to have 2 BACT tests that come back perfect in order to tie in the residents to this line. They were due to go out today, and they did go out today. They went out at noon. Tomorrow, Joey will pull another sample at noon, and those will go out. We should have results by no later than Wednesday, maybe early Thursday, which is putting us ahead of our target, because then the team is going to begin tying in the residential water taps then on Thursday and Friday. So we are about a week ahead of schedule on that project. They have did a tremendous job, and I think this will be of great benefit to the residents in that area. We were astounded to find that some of the people's pressures were really, really low over there. I'm sorry.
Hey, Terry, one of the questions I got on that is, will we be letting the people know when we're going to turn off their water to switch their service line? And of course I said, yes, we will.
Absolutely.
But at this point, we don't know who yet or precisely when. We just know that if everything comes back, we will begin that on Thursday.
Correct. And what we had did was walked communications door to door, which we'll do again, because one of the suggestions that we are going to give each resident is that they flush their hot water tank and their system, so they can start with a clean system. So that would be a hand-to-hand communication or a face-to-face communication, but absolutely we will not be turning anybody's water off or on without them having knowledge of such.
So if we're going to start on Thursday, will people get notice on Wednesday? Again, I'm thinking so that I can put on Facebook and the website. Will they get notice on Wednesday?
That I will have to tell you more tomorrow when Joey pulls that sample around noon. So that I will have a better update to be able to give you tomorrow. So
okay,
I will.
I'll hold off.
Text you.
Yep, I'll hold off on putting anything up until I hear from you tomorrow afternoon.
Absolutely. And we had a plan, but Tim and Joey and I talked today, and that's kind of our plan. So Westwood Waterline project, fantastic project, moving along. I think it's great. The other one is, the other project is a mill project. We're tweaking a little bit with the meter, but we will start discharging to the plant this week yet. So even if the meter is not totally online, we can do manual reads. So that process will take place this week. So another one of our projected projects for this year will be completed. The third one is, and Barb's on, and I know she doesn't like talking, but we have a part of doing the IT changes to the village is that we have engaged a new website host. Currently, we have Bluehost who hosts both our website and our mail. We also have a gentleman by the name of Don Holycross, who's been our webmaster, who is retiring at the end of the month. So all of that forced us to go out to find a new provider for our website. Barb did an extensive search. She did a really good job on this. And the goal was to find somebody within the United States and somebody within Ohio if we could. Bluehost is very hard to talk to. We spend hours and hours and hours with them, and the problem never gets resolved. My last call with them was a 2.5-hour call that was disconnected, and I received an email and said, your problem has been resolved. Thank you very much. And they never resolved any problems. So we are moving away from Bluehost as quickly as we can. The company that Barb found is out of Newark. It's called Ohio Office Works. They will be hosting our website. I'm impressed with them so far. They did point out to us that the colors that we were using on the website were not good colors with those that are seeing impaired. So it will have a different look. It will no longer have that deep brown background to it. We were, and I think we're still good with this, and Barb, correct me if I'm wrong, we're still thinking of switching over like next week, first of the month. Is that correct, Barb? And that
Yeah,
is,
actually, I was going to tell him, see if he can do it the 1st. And
yes,
that way Dawn can just bill for the full month and be done.
that would be good. So this way, the company that Barb has found for us is in Newark, Ohio. Wow, that's great. So I think it'll be a plus. Again, you'll be seeing those changes. I will send an email out to all the council people when the transition takes place, so you can take a look at the new website. Thank you, Barb, for your work on this. The other project I wanted to talk about.
Barb.
The other project I wanted to talk about was the dollar store. If you haven't went past, you should go past. They are really going to town on the construction. Now, I understand we're still in a holding period for the annexation, which Jeff can talk a little bit more about, but they're trying to get everything under roof and ready to go by the end of the year. So Jeff, do you want to talk about the annexation and the period when that when that period ends of waiting?
Yes, it's either, Terry, at the next council meeting or the one following it is when I'll have legislation to present to council to finalize the annexation of the parcel. It's kind of a quirky requirement, shouldn't be required at all, because council's already given its blessing and directed me to assist the property owner with the annexation process. But at one of the two next council meetings, I'll have legislation. I believe it's at the next one, actually, timeframe wise, where I will have an ordinance to submit to council. And once council approves that and everything is submitted to the recorder's office, then the annexation process is finalized. That's it.
Thanks, Jeff. And then the last project I went in to talk about was the repaving of Market Street. If you remember, in a couple of times we had talked in safety about people trying to come up on the right side and turning left off of Market onto Main or vice versa. So I worked with ODOT to try to get the best kind of restricted lane that I could on both sides. And so you'll notice as you approach main from each side on Market now, there is a very small, I know it's very small, but at least it's something. No, you can't go in this area marking from ODOT. I asked them how much it would cost for us to put on the other side of on 156, and they said that there's not enough room to do it there. So this is the best I could do. And again, this was something that came out of safety. So.
And at this point, Terry, Market Street and Holder are completely finished, correct?
Yeah, pretty close. I think we still have a spot that we wanted them to look at a storm drain that Tim and I brought to their attention that needs to be fixed, and it was up by Roos. And for some reason, the area there is still retaining water, and we had it fixed and it wasn't. So I reached out to the engineer, and they are waiting on a rain, and it looks like we got that today. So hopefully Shalane Company will be up there tomorrow to kind of look at that area. And then that probably will be the last thing that they need to do. I believe all of the side approaches have been finished. Yes.
Cool.
All right. The other thing I have for you tonight are our metrics, our monthly metrics. And I know you didn't get a really big chance to look through them, but if you look through them and have any questions, you can let me know. I think we had a conversation the last time on page 1 about the water use, raw, treated, and billed, and why there was such a difference between May and June. Well, you'll see we have that difference again between July and August. I talked to Missy and Joey and everybody today and said, you know, what do we got going on here? Well, I saw it. You can see it in the past data points. It wasn't as pronounced as it is here, but I think it's just the coincidence of when the meters are read, how many days are in the month, and et cetera, because we are maintaining, you know, what we're distributing water wise. So we'll keep an eye on it and see how that continues. Page 2 is the wastewater report. And you notice we did again this month shut down. The goal was each month to have a maintenance shutdown on a certain portion before we brought the mill's discharge on board. This last time we were working on the compactor room and the fan that was in there. So as you can see, that is why the data points then are off the chart. But it's looking really good. The guys are really excited. They're well prepared to take on this discharge. So looking forward to monitoring that. As you can see in August, we had a little more rainfall than July, but not much. And no overflow. So that's good. The last piece is on page 4. And I just wanted to point out that the original list for the month of August for delinquencies were down compared to July. So we're seeing a downward trend. The late payments are still slow coming in. I do have now 4 payment plans in place for residents for their delinquent bills who could not, who had requested them. And again, all our residents has to do is request. We sit down, we look at their average cost, and then we put together a payment plan that they feel that they could do within a 4 or 5 months period of time, sometimes 6. All of the vacant properties that we had were assessed. Brian sent those over for assessments this month. We are also seeing residents again on the list that we haven't seen for a while. The process is that when we see that they're going to be a turnoff, we always approach them and say, you know, there are agencies out there to help. Again, we are sharing that list with anybody who is on the shut-off list. And I guess that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Anybody got questions for Terry? All right. Hearing none, we will move on to Brian.
Yes. You know, we're at that time of the year, we're going to start working on next year's budget. So I reached out to Rita a couple weeks ago, or about a week ago or so, and get their assessment of what we might anticipate budget-wise next year. And to make a long story short, they say that basically right now, as we through August, we are, despite the economic downturns of everything, we are currently standing at 5.7% higher in collections than last year. and that based on that with individuals and stuff that are paying more over the past few years, that they anticipate that we could probably see that our revenues increase next year about 6% over this year.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, when we start talking the numbers for next year, we can increase our RETA appropriations by 10%, or our RETA revenues by 10%, by 6%.
Yes.
Okay.
They said that they anticipate the gross collection for Baltimore to be in the around 6% range above 2019. Despite the economic conditions and everything, our revenues are steadily increasing. They originally said we was going to decrease at the beginning of the year when this COVID stuff, but our revenues have steadily increased since this has all started.
Well, that's an additional $48,000 next year. I wonder, though, I guess part of me, the cynic in me says, I wonder how much of that was generated because of overtime at the paper plant, since the paper plant produces the cardboard tubes for toilet paper.
Well, yeah, I'm reading. I'm trying to see if there's anything they indicate in here in this email. It's mainly with individual accounts. It doesn't have to.
Really?
It's individual accounts.
Well, how many houses have been built in the last 18 months too? I mean, more than the last 10 years.
So, I mean, I'm looking at from January through August for the last 4 years, withholdings are above are increased, net profits substantially increased. Basically, individuals slightly, and then they say individuals in here. Oh, individuals countering a hit. Yeah, individuals did counter a hit. I said that incorrectly. But withholdings are up this year. Net profits are up this year. Individuals are slightly less than last year right now. But despite the economic downturn, Rita's saying that we can expect a 5 to 6% increase above this year.
I mean, so we get roughly $800,000 from Rita. 6% is $48,000, which means there was an additional $480,000 of income, either generated or from people living here that was reported, since we're a 1% tax.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Pretty good.
That's what they say. They expect gross collections to be in the range about 950 and 975 next year.
950. Well, that's 150 over what we're at right now. That's a little more than 6%.
I projected 900,000 this year. I projected 900,000.
Oh, I'm a couple years ago it was 800,000. That's what I've got that stuck in my head. So okay, but still, that's good news. So all right, Brian, you got any more good news?
Not right now.
All right, no bad news, right?
Oh, well, I got an email from the auditor's office. I'm going to be audited again, an attestation audit. Basically, it'll take about a half a day. They want to make sure I'm paying Chief Tussey's retirement incorrectly every month.
Okay. Well, that's not bad news. That's just news.
Yeah, it's just news.
Because you're specific enough. I'm sure it'll be okay. All right. Anything else, Brian?
Nope.
All right. Moving on then. Jeff.
With regard to ordinance 2020-31, that addresses the second round of the coronavirus relief funding. So that should be considered by council for passage as an emergency this evening. And you really don't need a motion to change the sponsor from Moeller to somebody else on resolution 2020-29. If any other council member wants to volunteer to be the sponsor, that's perfectly fine. The minutes will just need to reflect that. And I did check my notes in that final piece of legislation for the Dollar General Store annexation will be coming forward at the October 12th council meeting. And the reason for the delay is because per the Ohio Revised Code, we have to wait 60 days from the date that the annexation is approved by the Fairfield County Commissioners before that legislation can be presented to council and approved and finalized. And again, I do ask for a brief executive session to discuss some potential litigation at the conclusion of business. I'll keep it as brief as I possibly can, and that's all I have.
All right. Moving on then, Finance Committee.
Okay. Actually, all I have is our next meeting is October 12th, 6 p.m.
All right. And Service. Service would be Dwayne. Their next meeting is October 12th, and apparently I'll need to get a new chair for Service.
Their meeting's
okay.
Their meeting's not October 12th, is it, Mayor? They will revert back.
No, it'll revert back to the, what will that be? The 26th. You are correct. I got off because we moved it around so we could talk about OPWC projects. But yes, thank you, Brian. Thank you. So Services next meeting will be October 26th. So, which will also be the last meeting we'll have available for council to make an appointment. Safety.
Yes, we had our meeting tonight, Mayor, and I think everyone was present to hear what all was discussed and everything. And our next meeting will be October the 26th at 6:45.
Yep. And just out of safety, Jeff, just so you know, I think Terry has the action item to send it to you, but they motioned to create legislation to put on parking violations a $25 waiverable fine plus the court costs on non-moving parking violations that are not handicap parking. So,
Okay.
So that'll be legislation for the next meeting.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
it doesn't need emergency language, and it's going to go to 3 readings. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Rules.
Okay, Mayor, we met also tonight. I believe everybody on council could have been on, I think was here. We had 2 items on the new business, the park user fee for all the sport teams. The committee agreed to charge $250 next year. All 3 members accepted it, passed it. So Jeff, Terry will get with you that we will need to put that in legislation next meeting. The second part of the new business was the park board member for 2021. It's always been in the past you had to be inside the village to be on a committee. We decided that since a lot of the coaches or whatnot on these sport teams lives outside the village, and we very much would like to have somebody on the committee that's on the sport team. So we the 3 of us decided that we would like for you to change that. Terry will get with you that a member outside the village can be on the committee appointed by the mayor. And it'd be 1 sport team a year. So if we have baseball this year or next year, the following year it could be softball or something else. We'll kind of rotate that.
Yeah.
That's all I have,
so basically, thank you. So basically, Jeff, on that one, it's adding 1 park board member, and that member appointed by mayor is to be a representative from either the baseball, softball, or soccer organizations.
Okay.
And it'll be a 1-year term And there is no in-village residency requirement for that position since they are a frequent park user.
Okay.
So, all right. Anybody got any questions for Parks? All right, moving on. Public Safety Police Department. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. As you discussed, I'll defer a report from tonight, and we'll have a full report for next safety. The only one issue that I think I probably should talk a little bit about, because it's been all over Facebook, and I don't know if any of the council has heard any of this, but we had a little event up at the oil can that resulted in a person being arrested with a weapon up there, and those charges have been filed, and no one was hurt or anything, contrary to what some of the things were brought to my attention today. So just want to make everybody aware of that.
All right. Questions for Chief?
Is that business back open? Because I was seeing it lights on and then lights off and people in and out of there. So I just wondered.
Yeah, the original owner is leasing the building to two gentlemen who are trying. They do some oil changes, but they're actually trying to convert it over to a full service mechanics garage. And I think they told me they had been there 2 months now, something like that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Fire board would be Dwayne. That'll be another appointment that we need to fill. Though I do believe meeting minutes went out earlier.
That is
correct, Terry?
Yes, I sent them out
Okay.
already.
Okay. All right. So moving on, Planning and Zoning Commission, our meeting is set for October the 8th. We haven't met since the last council meeting. Tree Commission.
We haven't met since last council meeting. Our next meeting is October 8th.
All right. And then Records Commission is still kind of on hold because of COVID and being able to get in there and catalog the records that need destroyed.
Dwayne
All
did
right,
drop
moving
off. So Dwayne did drop off a box of records that someone had brought to him. So I have those in the hallway, and I'll show Brian where they're at, and he can at least go through those and decide if we need to keep those or get rid of them.
Okay.
Okay.
That'll work. Motions.
This is Keller. I move that we go into executive session after all business meetings, business items, and the only person we need is the mayor, the council, Jeff, and Terry.
All right.
I'll second that.
Hamilton seconds. Roll call to go into executive session at the close of business.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Hankinson.
Yes.
Oop, all right, there we are. Sorry, I was a little delayed on the audio. All right, unanimous. We will go into executive session at the close of business. Any other motions at this time? All right. Hearing none, moving on. First readings, ordinance 2020-31. An ordinance to amend the 2020 appropriations ordinance. Sponsor is Keller.
Okay, Mayor, this was brought up at the last finance meeting, which was the last meeting. This is a coronavirus relief fund money, and I know we need to pass it tonight, so I'm going to bypass the 3 reading rule.
All right, motion to bypass 3 readings.
Hankinson second.
Hankinson got the second. Roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
All right, but 3 readings bypassed.
Okay, this is Keller. I move that we adopt ordinance 2020-31.
Hankinson, second.
Hankinson seconds. Motion and a second to adopt. Any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, roll call.
Keller,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
All right, 5-0, ordinance 2020-31 will be adopted. No second readings. Third reading, it's a resolution 2020-29, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by Fairfield County Budget Commission and authorizing necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Declaration of an emergency. Sponsor on this was Moeller. Whoever makes the motion to adopt will be the substitute sponsor.
Well, Keller, I'll move that we adopt ordinance 2020-29.
Cosgray, second.
Motion and second to adopt. Any further discussion on this one? Hearing none, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
All right. Resolution 2020-29 will be adopted. No other third reading, so we will move on. Is there any old business? Hearing none, is there any new business?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to put together an idea that came from one of the new residents on Cliff Street. If you remember, after you have a new build in the village, you have 1 year from the time that you do your build to put in your sidewalk in your driveway. You know, instead of doing a patchwork of everybody putting in their sidewalk at different times, I was wondering if council would entertain maybe getting a bid to have all of the stretch of sidewalks done at one time. And then as an incentive, maybe giving the residents some sort of a discount off of having those sidewalks put in.
And would we then just ask the residents, so obviously we get an economy of scale if we do all the way down the street versus one road at a time, or one parcel at a time. Would we, ask the residents to pay up front? Would we assess it on their property taxes? Would we give them a choice?
I think we could give them a choice.
Okay.
I just was looking for some input from council. I mean, very nice area over there. I think the sidewalks will really look nice. Pardon me?
And you're not looking for an okay to do this. You're looking for an okay to, have the concrete company come in and look and see how much it would cost to do it.
That is correct. If you would want to entertain something like that, I could get a bid for the new sidewalks. If they would put them all in at once, and which they would probably give us a discount for doing the whole, and then all of them would be lined up and be, same.
We don't require an approach, right? Or a paved driveway.
Yes, we do.
We do. It's paved. It has to be concrete or asphalt?
It has to be paved. It cannot be loose stone.
Okay.
That is correct, Mr. Foreman.
Okay, I'm just, because the approaches are kind of integral with the sidewalks, and if you don't do the approaches, the sidewalks are going to be destroyed. So I'm just concerned about talking just about sidewalks if we don't include the approaches.
Well, we could approach this in a number of ways. Number one, we could get a cost from the concrete company to see if we want to even entertain something like this. And then if we do want to entertain something like this, maybe then we can reach out to each one of the residents and say, this is what we can do as far as sidewalks. Do you have, I think the approaches are pretty defined as to where they're going over there, except I believe there are maybe 2 that are just in there and one that doesn't have the approach yet. So, we can ask them if they could, at least locate that approach. I think this is just very early discussion that we're having, and we may not even be able to do it yet this season.
Yeah.
But it was just
It's
something
one
I
of
thought
the-
I'd throw out.
One of the questions I would have then is if, we get this and it looks like something we would be willing to do. One, I'd want to make sure, A, the residents understand that once it goes in, it's their responsibility if it breaks for repair and stuff like that. It's not going
Absolutely.
to create an ongoing maintenance requirement for the village. But also that we need to talk, if it's feasible for us to look at doing this, to look at for the residents, that it almost has to be and they all agree or it doesn't happen.
Yes.
Because if you get 6 parcels and every other parcel says no, and we go ahead and put a sidewalk in, they're getting a sidewalk for free if they don't agree. So it's going to have to be one of those peer pressure things that either everybody agrees to pay a portion of it and we get it in an economy of scale, or it simply doesn't happen.
I will
Well,
get the price and then I can bring it back to service and we can discuss further if you like.
Does it become a prevailing wage job at that point or not?
That I don't know, but I can find that out, Mr. Foreman. Just
I
something
like
I
the
wanted.
I like the continuity and the seamlessness of it, because right now we lack that, and I think people are kind of amused or disturbed by it. But I do like the idea of doing it as one complete project. But everybody's got to sign on.
Right.
So
So
let's go, I say let's go ahead with the first step and have Terry be able to get, this is what it would cost to put the sidewalk in this area, in the specs for it, and then bring it to service to further discuss if it's A, feasible on our part, and then B, the terms and conditions to start contacting the residents about.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Question. If you put the sidewalks in and you put the driveways in, and then they decide to build a house back in there and they need a concrete truck back in there, is the driveway going to hold that concrete truck going over there without breaking it?
I'm not talking driveways right now. I'm just talking sidewalks. And that's what Mr. Furman was saying. We would have to make sure that, we'll have to see when the last house is going to go in there.
Well, and having built in a housing development where the curbs and the approaches were already installed, upon completion of the project, they come out and inspect the curbs and the driveway approaches.
Mhm.
And if there is damage, they require the homeowner to repair it. So I've lived that, I've experienced it. What if it's a vacant lot and the sidewalk and the approach are installed, the builder or the homeowner is responsible for repairing any damage caused by construction. That's already kind of an established norm.
Okay, that answers my question.
But that's a good point, Mike, because if we proceed with that, we'll want to make sure to include that information for the homeowners that go out there.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions on that? All right. Any other new business? Hearing none. I don't believe I've received any emails recently. I will double check. Does not look like it. I did get one. This one would say it would be beneficial to inform citizens of the Zoom password prior. Oh, this is regarding town meetings. There is no Zoom password listed anywhere on the village website. Please advise. So I'll say it here and then I'll reply to this email later that, again, on the town hall Zoom meetings, the password was included in the utility bill insert. And if someone doesn't have it, needs it, they can call in to the village office. Missy has it. We're just, verify a local address, and then you will get that password. The purpose behind that is, as Rick said, a lot of the questions he's getting at the store are from people outside of the village. And I don't want to be crass, but I don't want to, I want to talk to the residents and the ones that are going to be voting for this, especially if a bunch of people were to call on to the Zoom meeting. There are only so many lines available under our plan, and I don't want to crowd out residents with non-residents. So I'll respond back to this person, since it's about the town hall meetings, but that's there as well. So I'm glad I double checked. All right. In that case, we are not going to adjourn. Our next meeting is October 12th at 7:30. And since this is, I think, our first executive session we've had virtual, we might have had one other. We'll remind everybody there's no taking notes during this. We'll give Barb and Brian and the chief a second to hop off. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm also going to stop the live stream. We will not restart the recording or the live stream when we come back, unless council decides to take some action and needs to have a discussion or something like that that is appropriate publicly. However, if after the executive session there is nothing else for council but adjournment, we won't restart the live session. But I'm just saying that now so that it's on the recording and on the stream. So with that, we'll take just a minute for me to stop the recording and the stream. Brian, Barb, Chief, I guess have a good evening. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. See everybody later.
Yeah.